The British government blames data errors for figures showing suspects trapped 5 years in prison without a trial. This is outrageous, if this is to be true. We're going to read in this from the Independent, you guys. Let's go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is REGANELITE here with an article from the Independent with the headline that the government blames data errors for figures showing suspects trapped 5 years in prison without trial. The government is unable to say how long suspects are spending in jail while awaiting trial as remanded prison population soars. So we have prisoners who are ready to come out but can't come out because they haven't had their remand. Apparently, suspects are trapped 5 years in prison without a trial. Yeah, this is when austerity came around, guys, we we know about the main issues like the national healthcare services, our communities, some of the basic functions that we need as a society, us, just the ordinary innocent people. And while I do believe to a certain extent prisoners should have certain rights taken away from them, it isn't fair that they haven't been given a fair trial, or they haven't had a trial at all, and they've been in prison without a trial. That's inhumane, plain and simple. Whether they're guilty or not guilty, they need to be tried for it. And somebody is being, and obviously the story here is claiming that a suspect trapped 5 years in prison without a trial. 5 years. So is that so? Let's say hypothetically, right? They go to court and they lose their case or whatever. Like, it's the 5 years they spent in. Is that going to add? Is that going to amount to any of the time they've still been away? And what about then they turn out to be innocent and they're adjourned of their crime? So are they going to get some kind of compensation for being stuck in prison for 5 years? Like, these are questions that need to be asked. And this is because of data error figures. For data error. It's outrageous. It's another scandal, to say the least. Then the government needs to take ownership and responsibility. Once again, that refuses to take ownership and responsibility for its actions, guys. And how many times have we talked about that? The Ministry of Justice has blamed a data error after it published figures showing that 150 suspects had been trapped in jail for more than 5 years awaiting trial. 150 people could potentially be innocent. They could be guilty as well, but we have to say, well, they haven't been tried, so you don't know that. We're talking about 150 people here who don't know whether they're guilty or innocent, and they're in prison and they haven't been tried for it. Don't know about you, but that sounds unfair to me. The remand population is currently at its highest in at least 50 years, and it is a major driver of prison overcrowding, surging from 9,600 inmates to 16,200 in just 4 years, as the court's backlog soared. Last year, 35% of self-inflicted deaths in prisons were among those on remand. I think it's worth remembering as well is that COVID-19 did cause a backlog as well. Yes, there were some courts that have been cut because of austerity. There's no question about that. No one's denying that austerity has played a role. But I think it's also important that COVID played a role as well. That caused a surge in the backlogs as well. So we do have to take that into account when it comes to this. But 9,600 inmates to 16,200 in just 4 years. How has it jumped so high in 4 years? That's an insane amount of inmates to have jumped to. It's ridiculously high. And the thing is that a lot of them are probably... You can easily cut that down. If drugs weren't illegal, if you made drugs legal, my God, that would cut down the inmate numbers. That would take a good chunk of it out, in my opinion. Wouldn't take it all, but it would take a chunk of it out, in my opinion. But that's another topic for another debate, I suppose. But experts have warned a lack of available government data on the issue, despite judges being required to approve an extension every 6 months. It has been unclear how long people have been spending behind bars before trial, as last-minute court delays increasingly see hearings postponed for months. Against this backdrop, internal government figures obtained via the Freedom of Information laws by the charity Fair Trial shared with The Independent in September, appears to show at least 150 male suspects, 50 of them black, have been remanded for 60 months or more as of the 31st of December. 60 months! Asked about their own figures, branded just extraordinary and I don't know what that word is, by experts. I'm just going to say kerfuffle. The Ministry of Justice has said at the time these cases involved the longest waits, mainly involved complex fraud, or were tried with a number of defendants that ordinarily take a long time to prosecute. But the Independent has now been told that these figures were merely an attempt by officials to estimate how long people are spending on remand, and should not have been published by the government without more explicit caveats. The data is now understood to not have exclusive cases where a prisoner was on remand for 2 separate periods rather than one continuous stretch in custody, and where a prisoner was already in custody due to initial conviction and was awaiting trial for a separate offence. As a result, a Ministry of Justice spokesperson said there are no prisoners in custody without a conviction who have been on remand for more than 5 years. So I'm just going to see, I don't think, yeah, that's not going to help. I can't zoom in any closer. Well, I guess I can actually. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm going to try and zoom this in for you guys so you can actually have a look at this. Just give me a moment. Right, I hope you can see that a little bit better there. So, this is a sample of the remanded figures provided by the Ministry of Justice in response to a Freedom of Information request earlier this year. So it says here, Table 1, the number of prisoners broken down by time spent on remand by ethnicity and by sex as of the 31st of December 2022 in England and Wales. And you can see here, ethnicity, Asian or black, Asian British here. By ethnicity, time spent on remand, male, female, untried, and convicted, unsentenced on male and female. So in less than 6 months, untried, 583 males to 11 females. Convicted or unsentenced, 202 males. 6 months or less than 12 months, 160 and 105 there for males. So it just based on this first lot in terms of Asian and Asian British there, you can see there's not really any, the numbers are extremely low for Asian or Asian British ethnicity in England and Wales, according to this information. But as the numbers go from 12 to 18 to 24, there you can still see there's still like someone with 36 or to less than 36 months to less than 42 months. There's still like 8 to 4 prisoners males there. 60 months or more, 19 males, 7 unconvicted, unsentenced there. Now, if we look down at black and black British here, oh my God, less than 6 months, 885 to 46 females, convicted or unsentenced, 237 to 3 females there. 6 months or less, 6 months to less than 12 months, 249 to 9 females, and 210 there for unconvicted, unsentenced. 89 in 12 months to less than 18 months there to 3 women there. 65 obviously unconvicted, unsentenced. And as you can see there, the numbers, they are slowly going down. 24 months to less than 30 months, 30 black males or black British, unconvicted, unsentenced, 17 to 30 or so. But if you go all the way down to the bottom there, so black or black British, 60 months or more, 50 males are untried, and 11 of them are convicted, unsentenced to 11 there. So these are prisoners kind of left in limbo, really. And you can't really blame it's just unfair, really. It really is. Whether they are, like I say, if they're guilty or not, or whatever the reason, like these cases are piling up, and it's a ridiculous amount, to say the least. They added, the FII release used by the Independent made clear that the underlying figures may contain errors as they are drawn from administrative figures. No such system is ever 100% accurate or up to date. Yeah, so this is the best numbers that they could possibly give, that they can give on it. I would say more of an estimate rather than an accurate numbers on them. It cannot be taken as a reflection of the data we have on the criminal justice system, which is comprehensive, allowing us to run the system efficiently, and is now published in greater detail than ever before. But asked to provide a new breakdown of how long the suspects are being held on remand, the Ministry of Justice pointed to a parliamentary statement by Tory peer Lord Bellamy on 26 September, which said the methodology for calculating the amount of time spent on custodial remand is currently being reviewed, and further clarification will be issued in due course. It is deeply worrying that the government is unable to say how long people are spending on remand, said Emma Snell, a senior legal fellow at the charity Justice, which last week uncovered evidence of widespread failure in courts when deciding whether to remand or bail suspects. Being sent to prison to await trial for months or years leaves deep scars. People lose relationships, homes and jobs while sitting in unsuitable cells without the ability to rehabilitate, said Mrs. Snells, adding, better public data is necessary in the first steps to ensuring safe decisions regarding people's liberty. Yeah, absolutely. This is destroying people's lives, being kind of left in limbo. That's exactly what it is. Concerns about the lack of government data have frequently been raised more widely across the criminal justice system. Taka Akin-Casey, chair of the Criminal Bar Association, told The Independent that the Ministry of Justice's data hasn't hitherto allowed the government to plan ahead on provisions of prison places, court staff, judges and barristers to keep criminal justice systems operating efficiently. So like I said, austerity has played a role in this, but I also think that the backlog from COVID may have played a part in it too. But as I said, the lack of courts, the lack of staff, court judges, barristers, all that kind of stuff, that is needed to make sure these are processed, that is lacking here too. Witnesses, victims of crimes and defendants have all been let down as planning and funding have been lacking for decades now. Data collection and target settings are meaningless for defendants and complainants when the system is underfunded. After being urged by MPs on the Justice Committee last year to ensure there is a ring fencing funding, the expenditure to work to deliver on its commitments to improve data, the Ministry of Justice said it would allocate £3 million to fund data improvements that year and would increase funding through to 2025. Well, it's all well and good, saying you're going to throw money at the problem, but that doesn't necessarily, we talked about, how many times have we talked about, or have I talked about saying, throwing money at things doesn't always necessarily fix the problems. Yes, there are certain things that require money, but they also require a plan. And it appears to me that there doesn't seem to be a plan from the current government about how to fix this system. At least there hasn't been. They haven't read what a government spokesperson has said on the matter here as well. This is at the end of the day, yes, they are criminals if they are convicted and tried, but that doesn't mean to say that they should be left in limbo. It's not right. It's not fair. There's a due process, and that due process must be fulfilled. And for some of them to be waiting for 5 years to get a hearing, it's just mind-boggling, to say the least. And it's also as well from the victim's point of view that they don't know if that they want the justice, and for them it's harder for the victims as well in these cases, because they're not necessarily, while they know they're behind bars, but they're not necessarily having that ruling kind of put on the convict or the prisoner or the criminal who is responsible for what they've done. So there's that as well, aspect to it as well. So yeah, lots of issues, guys, and it's a horrible one, to say the least. What do you guys think? Is it just the government? Is it austerity? Do you think COVID had a role to play in it too? Because I certainly do think, yeah, COVID had a role to play in it too. Is it just the government not investing enough money? Perhaps they just need to throw more money at it. Maybe that's just going to fix the issue. Or there are just a multiple of things here. Do you agree with some of these numbers that some people have been waiting more than 60 months to get a hearing? Let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below, what you guys think about some of these statistics. Hit the like button, we greatly appreciate it. Share across social media and hit the bell notification icon so you'll be notified of when I upload another video. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope to catch you all very, very soon.